our business launched 7 years ago in July,
Hmm.
but we started like 2 years before that.
Okay. And was this your first time in the skincare realm, or had you been in the industry a little
It's
bit
my
before?
third business, but this is the first skincare company and the first DTC business I've owned.
Okay. What caused you to take that transition into the skincare business?
Well, I was doing a lot of work in under helping consumer product good companies understand how people are shopping at retail. So my second business was an in-store design and strategy company. And what that really means is like understanding what is in the shopper's mindset when they're going into a specific channel, why they chose that channel even before they went into a store, and then trying to figure out how to communicate to the shopper in their shopping journey, usually in a disruptive manner. So they went in to buy uh, paper towels, but they came out with some skincare for men. Like how could you potentially do that? And there's tons of ways that we communicate, retail stores and brands help retail stores communicate their brands at retail. So that's what I was doing. And I was doing it globally. So I had, clients that wanted to understand this for all of their consumers around the world, and then look at areas in the world that have best practice. So, for instance, there's a lot of best practice in the men's skincare space in the way people are shopping. I'm talking specifically bricks in Korea and in Argentina, in Brazil, in Thailand in particular. So we were going physically there and studying how people were shopping for men's skincare, and I was just like blown away at how engaged men were in the category.
Really?
And I felt like there was a huge opportunity to bring that online for the American consumer. That's how it all kind of got started.
Yeah, I think skincare is something that, for a long time, up until, I mean, in line with your business timeline, but, 10 years ago, even to this day, it's not where it is for a female, but men's skincare is not as widely educated on or talked about, right?
No.
How's that journey been for you as a brand when it comes to getting in front of the male audience, but also, educating them on skincare and getting them to pick up and try the product?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, really, Colby, it's changed so much in like 7, 8 years, because I think and we do very much so today, like educating a guy on why they need skincare is kind of a big part of our shopper funnel. But I think it has changed a lot. Like a lot of guys are more, they're just more used to seeing skincare as being something that's important for men. But we do spend a lot of time helping. Our kind of unique selling proposition is all around skincare routines. So we're helping guys really think about their skincare routine. That would be the same thing that, like, thinking about your oral care routine or your hair care routine. And then there's larger routines in everybody's lives, right? Like most of us I have a very routine life. I'd say like highly routine. And I think, so and then we're thinking about, you know, health in general, right? So, because routine and health are very interlinked, right?
Hmm.
Going to the gym, you're eating 3 times a day. What are you putting in your body? You're sleeping. How much time are you sleeping? So all these like routine related health things are all kind of within, the scope. We're just a little piece of it. We're in the scope of things that we're talking about to our guys.
Yeah, and to kind of shift gears a little bit, but still stay aligned with what we're talking about. I know that based on the content that you put out, there's three things that you consider all D2C brands need to be highly successful. And the first one, which is in line with what we're talking about, is they need to lead with a very clear vision of why they exist and what they want to accomplish.
Yep.
And it looks like for your brand, it's so that men can feel amazing and provide simple skincare to them, right?
Yes.
Has that evolved over the years, or did it start that way and it's stayed close to that?
It's evolved just a little bit. So the idea of helping men look and feel amazing was really kind of where we started. The fact that we're a routine, and how does that fit into a routine? And if you do this thing over and over again, you'll have good results today and for the long haul. And I think that's kind of where it's evolved a little bit into. And something interesting you just said, you were talking about like, why you have to have something unique that's solving a problem. For your listeners, like, I think it's important to know that it doesn't need to be like earth-shatteringly unique, right? And let me be very specific about that, because I really want to encourage everybody that has an idea to act on it, and it doesn't need to be so earth-shatteringly unique. And here is a specific example. True Classic, which we were talking about earlier, they came out with a t-shirt. I mean, imagine, and I talk about it all the time in my business, imagine, that's such a commodity product. I mean, they're fighting against Fruit of the Loom and Hanes as just like a staple wear, and any t-shirt you could buy in any, Target, with cuts and Mack Weldon and
Bill,
MeUndies and Roan and Vuori and on and on and on. But they're like kind of specific messaging and reason to be is that, they've made the shirt fit nicely around the guy's arms and a little looser on the waist, as opposed to most of those t-shirts. Maybe it's a bit of a straw argument, didn't fit that way. I don't even know if that's a true argument or a straw argument, but that's like their unique thing, that problem they're trying to solve for guys. And so I think like it doesn't need to be earth-shatteringly different, of an idea. If you're an entrepreneur out there, it just needs to be something that can be ownable to you and your brand.
I love that. And just kind of going through the other 2 points that you share, because I think these are all very valid points for things that D2C brands need. The second one that you mentioned is that all D2C brands should hire the best people that they can. And a spinoff question that I have from that is, when a company's starting out, or even as they're growing, how should they, or how do you measure if you want to hire a generalist or a specialist for a specific role?
Yeah. This is so fucking hard. I mean, it is brutally hard.
I'm glad to hear it's not just me struggling with that. So please.
Yeah, it's so hard. It's like it's probably the hardest thing. I've never raised, but it's probably like, maybe raising's like, one notch above. But it's like, when you're young in your business, I'm speaking about not chronological age of a human, but when you're young in your business, you just need bodies in your business, and it's really hard. And especially if you have very little capital, it's really, really, really hard to attract. First off, it's really hard to know what type of talent you need. That in itself is half the problem. Early on, you don't know. So then, and as your company grows, you want to hire more assassins. So in the beginning, you by nature, you're hiring more generalists. And then, and so I think like that really is about a person's attitude and aptitude. Are they smart? Are they not smart? They have the right attitude and aptitude. And then are they culturally a good fit? So I want to be specific about that too. Culture is more than just like, we go out to the bars a lot at this place, or the people hang out together, or we have good coffee here, or we have good chats in the conference room. That's like, it's like really a mentality that you're hiring for, and understanding the mentality of the person that's coming into your organization, trying to really understand how they think. And a lot of it's based on their experiences where they worked before and how they think about business and how they think about the specific thing that they're good at. And then as you grow in your business, you really want to hire very specific people to solve very specific tasks. And so you want to hire an assassin, someone that's really good at something within your organization. And then the thing that I heard you mentioned about, A players, the thing that I heard recently, and I wish I could attribute it to the right person. I forget who said it. But A players hire A players and B players hire C players. And that's, completely true. So true. The best performing people hire really good performers.
And in the agency world, it's an interesting balance because to get top clients, you need top talent mostly, right? And then to get top talent, you need top clients because you need the margins to hire the top talent, right? So it's an interesting balance that way in the service-based industry or the service-based world with things.
Yeah, I was in that for almost 10 years. And we were discussing earlier Purchase Point in my global in-store design strategy business. And, I made all types of mistakes in that business. It was like the minor leagues for me for that business. I learned so much, but the service industry is so hard and it's 100% about talent. It's all about talent. That's what you're selling is talent. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have, if you're not charging enough for your talent, you can't get good talent and then you can't sustain the talent. So it's really hard.
Yeah. And when it comes to hiring, and I know you were talking about bringing people in that have their own way of doing things. And this kind of goes into the third point that you have for the three things that D2C brands need, which is give your people the freedom and tools to do their best, right? When it comes to hiring somebody that has, massive experience, where do you stand or lean towards training them in a new way or showing them the way your brand does things versus giving them leeway to maybe change the way things are done?
Right. So we have a very specific cultural, so we have like 6 or 7, there's probably 8 kind of cultural points within our business. There are our values. One of them is to disagree and then commit. So what that means is that if you don't agree with how something should be done, you should disagree and discuss your point of view. And then a decision is going to be made in our company. It's going to be made collectively. So you and I disagree with you, Colby. You're my manager. We're going to discuss it. And then we're going to make a collective decision. Ultimately, you're going to have the decision, but good managers, make good decisions. And then that decision may or may not be aligned with what I thought. It may be aligned with what I thought, but it may not be aligned with what I thought. But once we make the decision, we fucking commit. We commit and we get it done. And we're not babies about it. We don't say, hey, I told you so. That wasn't my idea. We don't say that. We commit wholeheartedly to the idea and to the decision. And if it wasn't the right decision, we pivot. And so that's both an empowerment and a mentality. It's an empowerment of our team, but it's also a way that we make decisions and that we commit and pivot when we need to.
Yeah, and that's definitely something that continues to multiply as companies grow because more people come in, more decisions need to get made. There's more opportunities for varied opinions on things. And when you look at social media, when you look at people talking about headcount growth and closing new series rounds of funding, and it's always about growth. How do you go about pacing growth to ensure that you still prioritize profitability within the business?
It's not hard. It's not hard at all. You know why? When you are an unfunded business and you're growing organically, You just manage your growth based on capital. I mean, it's, you know, if I had 10 large in the bank, I would be approaching growth slightly different. I'd be leaning more into the relationship between, CAC and future 12-month earnings, which is
Mm.
a very precise measurement that we use here. And I'd be really paying very close attention to payback periods on capital and leaning into it, accepting longer payback periods for higher CAC to grow faster. I mean, it'd be pretty simple, but I can't do that because I'm restrained by capital, which is a good thing in my opinion. I'm restrained by how much capital I can spend. So I can only grow. And so then the only control point that I have is to be even more capital efficient. So if I want to
Mm.
grow more, I need to be more efficient. So if I'm growing at 20% and whatever, I'm just throwing out numbers, and my CAC is 50 $50 a person on 10,000 new customers a month, and I want to be 30% more efficient. I need to drop my CAC in the neighborhood of 750 to be more. I need to be about 30% more customers. I need to drop my CAC proportionally equal to that, so that I can grow more. I can add more customers at a lower acquisition cost. So it's all about being more efficient, and it's a blended efficiency across all my channels.
Do you ever have periods where you off balance that just based off of need for hiring and forecasting? Because you'll rebalance that P&L or rebalance.
Yeah, it always happens. That happens all the time, and it's and we try to like kind of ease. So now you're talking about big ticket items that are below the line that impact our P&L, and kind of like figuring out and balancing where we're adding that additional incremental cost to the business over a period of time, and where we can afford, like how we should be spreading it out, and where we can afford to put it. So like, for instance, product R&D is very expensive, like a couple $100,000 a year. So we're looking at the P&L and the forecast. We're looking at the forecast and what we think our EBITDA is for those months, and we're trying to smooth out our P&L, our R&D budget into those months where we think we can afford it most, based on what we expect to be making those months. So that's kind of how it's balanced out, if that makes sense. So it's all driven financially.
Gotcha. Yeah, it does. And I know there's a good comfort or a good need for having forecastable marketing channels as well. And you keep seeing costs rising in channels. I don't know if you saw Google just announced or admitted recently that they purposefully raised ad cost on their platform to meet their revenue goals that they had. What marketing channels are you currently prioritizing or seeing the most opportunity with?
I mean, it almost fluctuates. I mean, we look at it weekly. I look at it weekly. Our growth marketing team looks at it daily. And I think it almost fluctuates, week by week. We spend the most money in influencer marketing. So our biggest budget and our biggest share of site, weekly sales measured by share of site, is in that channel. But we're constantly reallocating, like all the time. I mean, we reallocated. Actually, you're talking about Google. Tens of thousands of dollars out of our, paid search into paid social last month. Last month, I mean, we're today's the 29th of September. So this month, I mean, we're really closed out this weekend, but we're just looking at the numbers and where we think we're going to. And so that constantly happens, is reshuffling dollars.
Yeah, for sure. I know Northbeam, a tracking tool, like a third-party data tracking tool, puts out a weekly report showing budget attribute or budget allocation across all of its users. And
Yep.
it's normally 68 to 70% of all budgets going to Facebook, Instagram, throughout their platform that way.
68 to 70%?
Of all the brand's budget is going to Facebook, Instagram ads.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the opposite for us.
Really?
And we've never leaned in that heavily in the meta. I mean, like I said, it's probably for us paid social is, on meta properties is, sub 20, sometimes, sub 15% of our total acquisition share of site on a weekly basis.
Really? Are you including influencer spend with that, or you're speaking just paid?
Just paid.
Okay. Yeah. And with the influencer marketing, are the things you're doing trackable? Are you using, influencers, they're posting on their pages, whitelisting ads sometimes, or what does that look like for you?
It's highly trackable, and we have a very specific attributable non-brand or branded search or untrackable percentage. We pretty much have a portion of both of those assigned to different channels. So we have in our marketing mix an allocation for things that are untracked within our share site weekly. So I think, how reliable is our attribution? Influencer, I think I feel pretty confident that it's not as attributable as much as the other channels, but when you factor in anything that's unallocated or brand related, we see a direct correlation between branded search and influencer budget and influencer spend on a day, weekly, monthly basis.
Yeah, I was going to say we've seen that for some brands as well, is when they're doing influencer on TikTok or organic Instagram. Of course, Facebook will claim more sales that happen from that, but also, Google performance goes up as well with things. And I know one thing, we talked about in our last conversation offline was the idea of, or the concept of brand health versus brand building, and just talking about like how much money should be allocated towards brand building and top of funnel. Just kind of walk me through that a little bit more. Where's your mindset with that?
It's really difficult because I believe you need to spend as much as you can possibly bear on brand building. And it's really difficult to have a stomach for it. Similar to what I was describing earlier about, being highly capital efficient as an unfunded brand. Mm-hmm. It's really, really hard to know how much money you should be spending on branded projects. And we have a line item in our budget on a monthly basis for brand building. That's a separate line item from creative, and we have our own in-house creative studio, but we use out-of-house creative as well. We have 2 line items in our budget, and we kind of spend up against them. Their proportion of our total marketing spend. We spend up against them pretty much every month. So it's rare that we're not spending, that percentage that we think is the right percentage for us as our total marketing mix. But I'd love to spend more. It's just very hard to measure the impact.
Are you looking to lift LTV or decrease your cost per acquisition for new customers with something like brand building, or both?
Ultimately we want to reduce our CAC. We want to have higher conversion rates. We want to have, we really want to have the machine more greased, right? We want it more lubricated so that people come through our funnel quicker and make decisions more quickly because they want to be part of our brand.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And I know, last main question I have for you before we kind of go into the rapid fire questions at the end, but I know you've attributed networking to be one of the biggest needle movers for your brand. And actually it goes back to what I believe is the very early days or the very beginning of your brand with a phone call that you made tell me a little bit about that phone call and what came from it.
Well, I have two really, really good business partners. One is a gentleman named Rob Hoxie, and he's a phenomenal. So we're an C corp. I'm an employee of this company, and so is Rob, who I just mentioned. He works on our Amazon side of the business and our e-commerce side of our business. So really the website and the technology stack. And he has a team that works with him. Our third partner is Aaron Marino, and he's a YouTuber and a businessman. And we reached out to Aaron and encouraged him to promote our brand on his channel. And we ended up partnering with him. Again, this is way back in the beginning. So Aaron is a business partner of ours. Now, without Aaron, we would have no business today, or we wouldn't have nearly the business that we have. So that's a very dynamic kind of conversation, right? On one hand, Aaron is a significant shareholder in our business. And so he earned that equity through his hard work over many, many years of promoting our business on his channel. So it's similar to the concept, and I didn't realize this now, but it's similar to the concept of raising money, but instead of getting financial capital, we got the human capital and Aaron's ability to sell to his audience and to bring credibility to our business early on. So, but just like had we received financial capital and for that same equity that Aaron earned, those dollars would have been depleted over time. And it's similar to the relationship with Aaron in terms of his direct daily impact on our business. It's, he contributes in other ways, but specifically from a sales perspective, his share of sight in the company is very, very low, single digits, and sometimes greater when he does things on his channel. But he's earned his money, and he's contributed mightily to this business, and he's been paid for it mightily in equity. And I think if anybody is thinking about how they develop a business and grow a business, I think there's different approaches, and that was our approach. And we're fortunate because it worked out very, very well for us, more so than we expected or knew.
Yeah, it's like you're doing something that is very popular now, but 9-10 years ago, which is the influencer-led brands. I think last year those really started to pop up. You had Emma Chamberlain with her coffee. You had one of the Paul brothers with his Prime drink, right? I know it's a little bit different of a situation that you had, but it sounds like just leading with somebody that could get you in front of the right people early on. I could see how that would be equal to or more valuable than just taking on investor capital, because you're actually getting customers.
Yeah. I think so. I really hit the trifecta with Aaron because he's a really good business partner. So in addition, and now not in addition, now it's 90% of Aaron's value to the company is his business acumen and his knowledge of business and his support of our brand, and mentorship and, being a good partner and a good steward of our brand. I talk to him every day and we talk about what we're doing and why we're doing it. And he's not an employee of the company, but he's very vested and he wants the company to be successful, and he offers great advice. And so I don't know if you get that from all influencers. I don't know if you get the good guy part as well.
Yeah.
So that's why I really feel super fortunate. And that's because Aaron was really, really vested early on. He was like really interested in this space. And so because of that, he's stuck it out every day. And now it's all about making the business as good as it can be in any way he can.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. Well, We've come to the end of the episode, so we'll go through a rapid fire questions here. So if you had to summarize everything we talked about into a marketing mindset or a business mindset, what mindset should marketers or business owners have leaving this episode?
Summing it all up, I would say, hiring people is very, very, very important. You know, and you're going to make the right decision, hopefully the right decision at the right time. Meaning you're going to make a different decision, today than you would have made 10 years later. And that's okay, because you make the right decision for the right time based on your needs, based on your network, based on who's available and how much money you have. Just try to do your best to hire the best person you possibly can. Generalist in the beginning, specific skills as you go down the road. If you're going to start a business, your idea does need to be a unique concept and a unique idea and a unique way of doing things, but it doesn't need to be something that no one has ever done in any way, shape, or form before. And you have to have a voice in the marketplace. So you're either hiring, and bringing on a partner that can give you a voice, or you're going out and raising a bunch of money and then breaking a lot of rocks with that money to make more money.
And for anyone listening that's at the stage of figuring out what they'd like to do in the marketing industry, what marketing role or roles do you think will have the highest demand opportunity in the next 3 to 5 years?
I mean, marketing technology continues to evolve and data continues to evolve. I really like the data mindset. And I think regardless of where you are within a marketing organization, the data mindset can take you really far. And we'll see we'll see significant advances in what's going on with branded companies selling DTC with marketing technology. We'll see huge advances over the next, even short term, like 2 years. We'll see huge new things happening. I'm already, aware of some and trying to dial into them.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think too, and I won't make this a promotion for a tool I'm building, but I think too, there's over the past 10 years, there's been so much data with so many different data points from so many different tools. I think software that can consolidate data and not just present it, but give guidance or recommendations based off of it will be very helpful as well for businesses.
Yeah, that's a trick in any business, is to not only have the ability to mine the data, organize it and mine it, but to interpret it. And, we spend a lot of time there.
Yeah. A lot of wasted time that could be spent thinking, right?
Yeah.
So, and then tell us, where can listeners connect with you and learn more about you or your business?
Yeah. Come and connect with me on LinkedIn. I produce a little bit of content there every week with the intention of trying to help as many people as I can. That's not about me or my ego or trying to grow a huge audience. I'm later in my career. I'm kind of set it. I know where I'm going here. Just trying to do my best to pay it forward and help other people. So connect with me on LinkedIn.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate you coming on the episode today. This was great for myself and the listeners. And thanks again.
Thanks, Colby. Have a good day.